Good morning from Lordsburg, New Mexico. It's a trail town. Continental Divide Trail runs through it, and the Southern Tier runs through it. So it's a straight up trail town. I'm sitting in a hotel, in my hotel room. We have some gnarly winds out there, so I'm gonna wait like an hour before I go out there. I'm gonna let those winds die. But I was sitting at breakfast this morning, minding my own business, I guess listening to some older couples talk about the journeys that they're on. And there's this one couple from Michigan. They're older. They are doing a cross-country trip. And they've given themselves 7 weeks to do it. And they are 1,000 miles into their like 3,000 mile journey or something. And they're going to Tombstone today, which is awesome. That made my heart really happy. They're really going to love Tombstone. But at the end of their conversation, they said, yeah, you only get to do these things when you're old, so we're doing it. And I went from being really happy to being like pretty sad that they would say that, because that's not true. My first journey, long distance journey, was when I was 25 years old. And I am 35. So I've been long distance journeying now for a decade. So I hope that nobody took her words seriously. I hope nobody listened to her. I hope people know that they can do a long distance journey at any age in their life. So anyways, I am going to talk about bicycle specific gear this morning. I've had a lot of requests for my gear list, and some of those requests are coming from long distance hikers. So instead of going through my entire gear list today, that's going to include some of my hiking gear. That's going to be really redundant to some of you. So today I'm only going to speak about my bicycle specific equipment. That way, if you're a long distance hiker and you have all of those items already that I have for hiking, all you need to do is pick up the bicycle specific items and you're going to be good for a tour. So I'm going to talk about those bicycle specific items today. And I'm going to try to go in depth about them, so it's going to be a rather long video, as are all my videos, just because I'm a really, really, really picky person. So I want to talk about the bike itself. I have a Trek 1.1. Okay, I bought this Trek in 2010. I was getting into triathlons. I asked my friend Jesse for a good bike recommendation for triathlons. He said I would get Trek 1.1, and here is Meadowin 10 years later. This is not a touring bike. This is a road bike. There is a difference. You have mountain bikes, you have touring bikes, you have, hybrids or gravel grinders, and you have a road bike. I have a road bike. It's set up for racing, and it's set up for like beginning racing. So it's, there's nothing special really about my bike other than the fact that it has tens and thousands of miles on it, and it's never failed me, so I'm not going to upgrade. I get a lot of people saying, oh, you should upgrade your bike. And my thought is, when you pull as many miles on your bike as I have on my bike, let's talk about upgrading my bike. So I kind of sometimes play the mileage card when people tell me I need to upgrade my bike. I bring up my bike and how it's 10 years old to say that you don't need some fancy schmancy multi-$1,000 bike that they will try to sell you if you go to a bike shop to do a tour. You don't need a touring specific bike to do a bicycle tour. If you're going to be on the roads, you don't need a mountain bike. You don't even need a gravel grinder hybrid. You can have any bike you want to do a tour. The point is that it functions well. You want the gears to shift well. You want the brakes, to be low maintenance. You want that bike to be good for you. I used to have a friend who was he was in the bicycle industry. For decades, he's been in the bicycle industry. And one time I was feeling a little insecure about the type of bike that I had. And he goes, you know what? He goes, just ride. And 5 years later, like, that's my advice. I say, just ride. If you have a bike sitting in your garage, just ride it. Don't go feel like you need to spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a bicycle. This bike is 10 years old. She's great. So, yeah, I think I paid $700 for that bike, brand new, like the year it was made. I bet it's worth like $200 now. And you couldn't get me to sell it, at all. Like, that bike's just gonna have to break down. So, anyways, any bike will do. That's a road bike. Because it's a road bike, it has really skinny tires. Therefore, I have to make sure I carry light in my gear, because that's a whole lot of weight going down on really skinny tires. Touring bikes have wider tires. They have a steel frame. They can withstand a little bit more weight. So the fact that I have a road bike kind of requires me to travel light, which is fine because I'm a minimalist anyways. So I have a simple road bike. I will say on bikes, when you're gonna go look up bicycles in the shop or whatnot, or maybe on like Facebook Marketplace, I have I'm operating off of 2 gears, okay? So I have a high gear and I have a low gear. A lot of my touring friends have 3. And that's really, really nice for when you do climbs, especially steep climbs. I'm always a little jealous of my friends who have 3 front gears because they make those climbs look so effortless. When I'm operating off of 2 gears, I have less of a range, and I'm really struggling up those climbs sometimes. The benefit to having 2 and not 3 is that my legs get in shape really, really, really quick, and then they're really, really strong for the rest of the journey. But still, like, it would be nice sometimes to have 3 in the front, just so I have a bigger range on those really long, steep climbs. So when you go to the bicycle shop, kind of look at the gears. Do you have 3 in the front or do you have 2 in the front? I would almost recommend 3. I will say, though, that a lot of the bicycle industry is just now going 2. They say there's too much overlap with 3. So, anyways, something to consider, how many gears you're operating with. Though I'm operating with less, I kind of advocate maybe more. And that's all I'm going to say. Let's talk about the pedals. A lot of people have clips for their shoes, right? They clip in. And that's great. They're very efficient. The whole purpose of clips is that your hamstrings and your quads are doing equal work. So as on your downstrokes, your quads are working, and on your upstrokes, you're pulling with your hamstrings. So you're almost getting like a 50-50 with both of your leg muscles, your primary leg muscles. And that's awesome. But I like to hike, and I like to get off my bike, and I like to wander and go wherever. So for me, I don't want to have to worry about damaging or dirtying up my special shoes. I just make my quads do all the work, and I just wear regular shoes. So if you're considering fancy, clip-on cycling shoes, know that, yeah, they help with your muscles. They make your hamstrings work as much as your quads. But know that you don't need those. I've done 3 bicycle tours now, and I've never had cycling shoes. I usually wear sandals, and right now I'm in my Merrells. So you don't need them. I just wear regular shoes. Okay, I have a handlebar bag. As you can see in the front, I have 1 bag in the front, and that's my handlebar bag, and that's where I keep things that I maybe need throughout the day. And I have them right here. So I have my gloves, which help with, your hands might go a little numb when you're on the bike. So that helps with the padding, as well as like nerve damage, as well as it's just really comfortable to wear these gloves. I have a bicycle lock that I use when I'm in urban areas. I have my bike lights. These are awesome. They're really, really, really bright. And they give you the flashing mode. People, the eyes catch moving objects. So you want things that are able to flash. So you have a backlight that's red and a front light that's white. I have my bicycle pump. This goes up to 90 PSI. I would actually recommend finding a bicycle pump that goes up to 100, 120 PSI. Not that you're ever going to fill your tires to 120. You're probably going to fill them to 100 PSI. But I have to work pretty hard to get to 90 PSI. If I had a bike pump that was rated at 120, I might not have to work so hard to get to 90 PSI. So I would recommend a bicycle pump that goes up to like 120. Also, most of the tubes in the bicycle industry these days are going to Presta valve, not Schrader valve. Schrader is what you're going to find on a vehicle. Schrader is what you're going to find when you go to the gas station and you have your air pump. Presta valves, most bicycle tires now are going to Presta. Therefore, when you go buy your bicycle pump, you have to get one that has a Presta valve. So this is a Presta, 90 PSI. If I could do things over, I might go 120 PSI on my bike pump. It will cost a little bit more money, but only by like $10. I have my bicycle kit, my bicycle repair kit. You'll have a multi-tool. This should fit all your nuts, bolts, and screws on your bicycle because you will have to, maintain tightness as you ride. You'll have to adjust like your seat. You'll definitely want a bicycle tool. You'll want, I don't know what these are called, but they're for flat tires. You use them, these are your best friends for flat tires. You'll want that. Those people carry two. I'm not against carrying two. I just can get away with one. You'll want tire sealant. This is like my backup to my tube. So I always carry a spare tube. Always. You never hit the road without a spare tube. I always carry a spare tube, but let's just say my spare tube also gets a flat. Then I carry a tire sealant that I can squeeze into the valve stem, and it will seal up any flat that I have until I'm able to get a new tube. It'll get me definitely to the next town or definitely to the next bicycle shop. So I would carry a sealant as a backup. Patch kit. These are like $3. You should always have a patch kit. Always. Not that they work very well, but you should at least have them. And then there's two little things that I think you should have in your little patch repair kit. One, it's the Schrader valve adapter. So like I said, the bicycle tubes are set up for a Presta valve. But when I go into town, I like to top off my tires at the gas station, which has a Schrader valve. So this, I just screw on to my Presta valve and boom, I can hook up the gas station pump and top off my tires. So a Schrader valve adapter, this is like $2. And then you'll want a valve, I forget what this is called, but this takes on and off your valve stems. Okay, so on your tire, you just throw this on it and it will tighten your valve stem. Sometimes your leaks come from your valve stem and not necessarily like a hole in your tube. So this will tighten your valve stem. This can remove your valve stem to put that tire sealant in it to seal those holes. So you'll want one of these, again, like $2. And then that's about it. That's it for my my handlebar bag. You'll see I have my lock that goes in there, my gloves. I do have a pepper spray gun that I carry on bicycle journeys that I don't carry on hiking journeys, but on bicycle journeys I do. I have my front and tail light, and then my repair kit right here. You'll want something on your bicycle that is bright, right? So I have this like construction flag that I picked up that I put on the back and it waves. Remember, moving objects catch the eyes. So make sure whatever that you're wearing is really, really bright. I mean, some people wear their bright colors, right? Which is awesome. I choose to wear black to look clean. So I put my bright colors on the back of my bike and I just make sure it moves. On my last tour, I carried a pool noodle. I carried a bright orange pool noodle and I extended it 3 feet out to my left So when cars passed me, they had to move 3 feet from me, and it was bright orange. And I only had a couple people like honk rudely at me for it. Everybody else seemed to be pretty appreciative of the pool noodle. The last thing over here I have is my helmet. It's Specialized. That really means nothing to me. Brands mean nothing to me. So I would go into your bike shop and I would look at the features that the helmet is offering, and then I would try on all of the helmets that you're considering, and I would literally buy with the best fit. So, you know, I don't know if I would be swayed because of a certain brand name. I am more picky on how it feels on my head, how it tightens down on my head, and maybe some of the features it offers, like vent holes. It's nice to have a helmet with more vents for airflow. Okay, let's talk about panniers. A lot of cyclists will put 2 panniers on the front, and then they'll put 2 panniers on the back, and then they'll have a top bag in the back, and then they'll have a handlebar bag. And to me, that is crazy. Like, what in the world are you carrying that you have all of that gear? So I have a handlebar bag, which is the stuff I just talked about. On my back rack right here, I strap it on top. I have my little hiking pack. Really, nothing goes in here. I throw my laptop in here because I work. I throw my tent poles in here because they don't fit in my pannier. My IDs and my debit card and my passports in this one. But nothing really goes in here. I choose a little backpack because when I go hike, I want to be able to carry some of my stuff. And a lot of cyclists will have a rear rack pannier that's not used for hiking. So for me, because I like to hike, I make sure that one of my bags on my bike all the time I can use for hiking. So that's my back rack. Okay, and then the panniers themselves, I have these Arkels. I got them in 2015. By the way, my handlebar bag is also Arkel. I got them in 2015. They were the lightest ripstop waterproof panniers on the market. Waterproof's a must. Never, ever, ever spend your money on anything that goes on the outside of your bike. It's a pannier. That's not waterproof. That's a waste of money. As a bicycle tourist, you will you will have all the elements. So like, it's okay if you're riding and like your body gets wet, because then you can just go into a cafe and dry off, or you can just go into your tent and throw on your dry clothes. But don't ever let your gear get wet. So my bags are waterproof. My handlebar bag is waterproof, and my rear 2 panniers are waterproof. That's a must. Ripstop's a must, because you are going to lay down your bike. You're going to lay it down on gravel. You're going to lay it down on pavement. You're probably going to wreck. You're probably going to drag it sometimes. They shouldn't, but it might happen. So ripstop's a must too. So since I have a road bike, I wanted to be forced to go lightweight. So I got the lightest weight panniers on the market in 2015, and I absolutely love them. They keep my gear super dry, and they fit all my gear just fine. That's it for panniers. Just make sure they're waterproof, and don't feel like you need to have 2 on the front, 2 on the back, and a handlebar bag and a back one. Like, no, you can get away with. I mean, I saw a guy the other day in Globe. His only bag on his bike was the center. He had a triangle bag cut out right here, and it had everything he needed in there. He was busting like 100 miles a day. He was sleeping in a tent. I mean, but he was traveling really, really light. So, I mean, I don't feel like you need to go get this multi-$1,000 bike and then put on, 6 different bags. That's not the case. I have 2 panniers in the back, and then I have a handlebar bag, and then I have a backpack for hiking. That's what I have. Even like my water bottles, you'll see that they're not like cyclist water bottles. Dasani and Aquafina, they're lightweight, and I use these over and over again. I won't throw them away until I can visibly see mold on them. So, like, you don't even need to go spend money on fancy schmancy water bottles. Like, just go get $1 a liter from the store, and they're going to be more lightweight than the ones you buy at REI. My saddle is not, that didn't come with the bike. I did pay extra money for my saddle. That's from 2015. I think I spent like $60 on it. I recommend it. I recommend finding a saddle that's better than the one your bike comes with. So, yeah, I mean, I know people who carry spokes. I know people who if you read online, they're going to advise you to carry spokes. They're going to advise you to carry chain pieces. They're going to advise you to carry extra cables. And no, I don't agree with that. If you carry that, if you ever find yourself in the position where you need to use a cable or you need to like tune your spokes or change your chain, like a link, something bad has happened, and you'll probably end up hitchhiking to a town, to a bike shop anyways. Like, when it comes to your repair kit, you need to be able to fix a flat. That's what you need to be able to do. When you're road biking, I'm not going to speak for mountain bikers. They come in contact with other difficulties, other challenges. But as far as a road cyclist, you need to be able to change a flat. That's what you need to be able to do. So don't worry about like carrying a whole bunch of like bike maintenance stuff. It's not necessary. And so yeah, that's my bike gear, my bicycle specific gear list. You have a bike. Any bike will do. Don't make people feel like you need to spend thousands of dollars on a bicycle. You do want good tires. I have a gator skin on the front, and I have a armadillo on the back. And then, just real quick again, you'll want a helmet. You'll want a bike pump. You'll want a bike lock. You'll want some gloves. You'll want your lights for your bike. Maybe some protection. Your bicycle repair kit. And then you'll want your panniers, right? So I have my Columbia bag, and then I have my waterproof bags, and then I have my handlebar bag. That's it. Everything else that's on my bicycle is backpacking gear, and all of that stuff is in the back of my bike. Nothing is in the front of my bike on that. So, simple. Really, really, really simple. Don't wait till you're old to do it. You can do it now with little money. Cheers.